What is going on, everybody? Back again today to bring you guys another video talking about more DC Multiverse, McFarlane DC Multiverse stuff, and particularly, as you can tell from the title of this presentation, we're going to be delving into my thoughts and opinions on every figure that we know we're getting so far in 2022. And I got to say, there is much, much more positive here than there is negative, so I'm happy about that. There are some things that I'm not too terribly excited about. There are some figures that I have no intention of buying, but we will get into that. So without further ado, let's get into that. So first up, there's four of them here at the beginning we already know about. We've known about them since middle of December of this past year of 2021, but we will be getting them in 2022, so I've included them on this list. It's Martian Manhunter. He looks great. We know how we feel about him. We're really happy to be getting this Martian Manhunter. So yeah, I mean, not much more needs to be said about him. Same thing with Aquaman. It's great to get a Aquaman, pretty just typical standard Aquaman to go in with our Justice League. And I like the version of him that they chose. It strikes a balance between that more like rugged, angry, gritty Aquaman and the classic Aquaman. I like that they went with the version that it's the classic costume, but he's got the longer blonde hair and the beard of the more grittier, hardcore Aquaman. So I think this is a good choice. I will be picking this one up. Very excited about this Aquaman. General Zod. Glad we're getting General Zod. I do hope that the cape is removable. If it's not, oh well. I still am glad we're getting General Zod. I like getting, you get enough heroes in a collection, you need the villains as well. So I'm glad that we are getting General Zod. It shows that McFarlane is kind of starting to delve deeper. We are getting more character variety, and especially comic book character variety. So that helps the line a lot. And then Solar Suit Superman. This is an easy variant for him to do, and to be honest, it's a pretty relevant variant. The black suit for Superman is pretty standard staple at this point. He's worn it for a couple of different occasions. Obviously, the most notable one is when he came back after being quote unquote killed by Doomsday. He wore the black suit for that first story arc of his return. And then when he was living on Prime Earth but hidden because Prime Earth had its own version of Superman and he was a duplicate from another reality, he would put this suit on if he just ever really felt the need to go do some superhero stuff. So it's a good take. I'll be picking this guy up. It is part of the overall comic book story of DC, and it looks like a solid figure. So I'll be picking this guy up. And that's it for the original four that we knew about. Getting into the new stuff that's been released since then, and we're going to start with the stuff that I don't really care about. This one, first of all, the one I'm least interested in, the Batman Who Gives a Fuck. The Batman of Who Gives a Fuck. Just, yeah, he's the Batman of Zur-En-Ah, I believe. It's from this really small part of the overall story arc that is Batman R.I.P., and just like nobody gives a fuck. Like, this figure was done by Mattel once and nobody really wants it. Children don't want it because it's not a recognizable version of Batman. It just looks weird to them. And then adult collectors don't really want it because it was this one random costume that he wore for this, a few pages in this one random story arc. And then it's never been seen again, and hopefully it never is seen again. It's fucking stupid. So I mean, I have zero intention of getting this guy. Damian Wayne Robin from Infinite Frontier. It's not that this is a bad figure, and I can definitely see the appeal of it. My thing with it is, like, I don't really like to do a whole lot of, alternate costumes for characters, unless DC, specifically DC Comics, has proven to me over a long enough span of time that this costume is a staple part of the character now. It's not just some throwaway bullshit. Like, it's not just something we put into a story simply so that we could make a new toy and sell a new toy. And I gotta be like, sort of like Batman's Rebirth costume. We all kind of saw that coming. It wasn't a huge departure from his traditional look. It wasn't quite as off base as that previous Batman we just looked at a minute ago, but his Rebirth costume, it was different enough that we just knew, there was just a voice in the back of our heads that said, like, this isn't going to stick around. it's too different. This is just some new gimmicky thing they're trying out in the pages of the comic book so that they can then make merchandise of it. And that's how this Damian Wayne Robin feels. This is his new costume. Going forward from like starting in Infinite Frontier, moving forward, this is what he's supposed to be wearing as his new main Robin costume. You know, I'm at the very least, I'm gonna hold off buying this guy until, you know, if in like, you know, 5 to 10 years Damien's still wearing this costume in the comics, then I'll buy this figure. Then I will hunt down a copy of this figure on eBay and buy it. But until then, I have no real interest in it, because I'm pretty sure that in a year or two they're just gonna like do away with this suit and switch him back to something more traditional for a Robin. So yeah, this is kind of just a it's a cash grab. It's a gimmicky costume figure, like for cash grab purposes. I don't really feel the need to buy it just now. Clayface. So Clayface is the one that I'm on the fence about the most. I do want a Clayface figure in my collection, and he is a pretty staple member of Batman's Rogues Gallery. He's a pretty staple villain. Batman's fought him a lot. So he does have a place, and he does belong in the collection. I just don't know if this is the version that I want. It's very... I don't know. To be honest, the only problem I really have with it is the other faces in the clay. You know, it's like, why would this dude... I don't know. He can control the clay. There's another face. There's a little face. There's a little face there. This guy, he can control the clay that is his body. The clay that makes up his body, he has complete control over it. Why he would let there be other faces in it, I don't know. Unless it's just a scare tactic, make him look more intimidating, maybe. But it kind of comes off as like there's like other entities trapped within him, and there's no weird supernatural soul possessing aspect to Clayface. It's more of a sci-fi. He's a fucking science experiment going wrong, similar to like Sandman from Spider-Man. But you know, the only other alternative I have to this guy would be the Mattel DC Multiverse Build-A-Figure Clayface. And that one is going to be a little hard to hunt down, and it's going to be a little expensive. I think my plan as of right now is once this guy starts hitting stores, I am then going to check online on like eBay and see if this guy's release has caused the price of the Multiverse Build-A-Figure, the Mattel Build-A-Figure, to go down. You know, now that this guy is out there, maybe it'll decrease the demand for the Mattel Multiverse Build-A-Figure one, and that'll drive the price down. And then I can get that one cheaper. But if it does not drive the price down, then of course I'm going to just go find this guy for $25 to $35 in a store, as opposed to paying, you know, close to $100 for that Build-A-Figure. So it's really just going to have to see what happens. But I'm not totally against this guy. I don't think there's anything really wrong with him. It's just not my ideal version of Clayface. And then Batman Rebirth. So you might be thinking, like, didn't you just get done talking a bunch of shit about Batman Rebirth? Yeah, I did. This costume, not that it looks super terrible. I do think there is a little too much yellow, specifically the belt. You know, if the belt was more of a traditional utility belt, then I think it would have been a better costume. But it's not, so it's just a little too much yellow. I don't know how I feel about the purple on the interior of the cape, but overall, like, I remember there were some, you know, pages in the Rebirth comic books of Batman where I saw him in this suit, and I thought, wow, that's actually a pretty good, you know, comic book panel right there of him just, you know, walking down a hallway in this suit. It actually looks kind of cool. But overall, this suit was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was just hey, let's give Batman a new suit for like a year or two, and that way we will give our toy companies something new to make a toy of, but then in like a year we'll just go back to a more normal bat suit. And that's exactly what it was. But I am very, very interested in getting this guy because I think, I could be wrong, but I think he's going to be very easy to customize into a typical black and gray costume Batman. This bat symbol on the chest is raised. It's not painted just flat directly onto the chest. So that means it's going to be easier to paint this yellow outline. It's going to be easier to paint over that with black paint and just make this a standard black bat. And then I already did the underwear belt swap once with the 3 Jokers Batman that I have, and I actually have another spare Arkham Asylum Batman figure from McFarlane, and I intend to just heat this guy's legs up, pop these legs off, take off this underwear belt piece, and replace it with the Arkham Asylum underwear and belt piece. And then after that, so it'll be a completely black bat, a more practical looking utility belt, the black trunks, and then after that all I got to do is paint the interior of the cape black, and this guy becomes pretty much a standard black and gray black bat emblem on the chest Batman. A couple minor things. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I think it's going to work out just fine. And also, with if anyone saw my video about my 3 Jokers Batman that I got in the mail, finally my order came. My 3 Jokers Batman symbol was painted terribly. But in this case, with this figure, I'm not going to care because I'm going to repaint the whole thing black. So as long as the symbol's not crookedly set into the chest, this is going to turn out fine. I already know, I tested it on the 3 Jokers Batman. I know how to successfully pop these legs off and swap the underwear belt piece, and then painting the interior of the cape black, that's going to be easy. So I think this is going to be an easy guy to customize into just a typical, very normal looking black and gray Batman. And that's what I want. That's what I really want more than anything. Batman's my favorite DC character. I'm sorry if that makes me basic. It's just the truth. So, and but even though he is my favorite DC character, and I still really want just a good, typical, general-looking Batman, I'm still against all this Batman variant crazy bullshit that Todd's doing. There are certain Batman suits that are like the staple, like the blue and gray with the yellow oval. That he wore that throughout like the 60s, 70s, 80s into the early 90s. He wore that for a very long time. And then you've got a, black and gray with the yellow oval and the black and gray with the black bat. That's it. Like those 3 suits are his main 3. Beyond that, I don't need any other Batman figures really. So, but yeah, I am looking forward to getting this guy for customization purposes. All right, so the next Batman. So I just got done saying that I don't need all these other versions of Batman in these random costumes. And that's true, but this is not the same Batman. This is a completely different character. This is Jace, I believe is his name. Jace Fox, one of Lucius Fox's sons. And he takes up the mantle and becomes the next Batman during the future state arc of DC Comics. And this suit is his suit is badass. I like that the mouth is completely covered. I think that looks awesome. My only gripe with this figure is it's something that McFarlane Toys keeps fucking doing, and I think that they're always going to do it simply because it's cheaper, is the bright yellow belt. Like, you can't make it look, you even made the Batarang look kind of like copper or bronze or whatever. Like, you can't do that to the belt. You did it on the Arkham Asylum belt. Why can't you do it on every belt? Bright yellow does not belong on Batman in large quantities, sorry. So I don't like this bright yellow cheese mustard colored belt. Fuck, man. Like, I get it. You can just buy raw plastic that's colored yellow, but if you want it to be bronze or copper, you're going to have to paint it. That takes extra time. You got to pay someone to do that. I get it. But as an adult collector, which is who this line is geared for, I'm telling you, I will pay the extra couple dollars to get that, so you should pay the extra couple dollars for someone to do that. This yellow cheese belt bullshit needs to go away. But other than that, I think this guy looks awesome. Cannot wait to add him to my collection. And then sticking with our future state theme, we've got Bruce Wayne as the Dark Detective. So typically, for the most part, I'm not a fan of the idea of replacing Bruce Wayne as Batman. It's been tried many times. And the only version of it that was ever remotely successful was Batman Beyond. And that's because the premise of that show was Bruce is just too old. He just cannot fucking do it anymore. So we were all kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it. any other instance where they try to replace Bruce as Batman, but Bruce is also alive and functioning in the story of DC, people are like, hey, if he's alive and he's still physically capable and he's still mentally coherent, why the fuck is he not Batman? Well, this story offers us a new take on that idea. It's Bruce Wayne is alive. Bruce Wayne has been replaced as Batman. He is not the mainstay Batman. He's not the guy running around that in Gotham that everyone considers Batman. That's a different guy. However, Bruce Wayne is still alive. He's still kicking. He's still physically capable. He's still mentally capable. He's just running the streets of Gotham under a slightly different persona. You can see that his outfit and stuff still has a bat motif. He's got a bat cowl. He's got a bat symbol kind of sloppily spray painted or painted on the chest of his armor. But it's a much more like urban, tactical, cyberpunk, which is overall a lot of what Batman's, future state story was. It was very like cyberpunk in the future. It reminded me a lot of Batman Beyond. It's almost like they were like, hey, Batman, we need to try to do another version of Bruce being replaced as Batman. The only time we've ever done that and it was successful was Batman Beyond. Great, let's copy as much from Batman Beyond as we possibly can. But I think it's smart that they're not just getting rid of Bruce. They're not trying to do a clean, quick break away from the previous version of Batman into the new version of Batman. They're doing a slow, let's wean the audience off of him kind of idea. He'll still be around. He'll still be in somewhat of a bat costume. He'll still be doing some Batman shit, but he's just not Batman per se. And I'm okay with that, honestly. Like that. It worked. I read Batman's Future State stories, all of the Future State comics that took place in Gotham City. Those are the only ones I really read faithfully, and those were by far the best ones. So 100% I'm going to pick up Dark Detective. This guy is awesome. And then I think last comic book related figure that we've got, Ultraman. I gotta say, I think this... I like this figure. I'm glad we're getting Ultraman. I'm glad that I hope we get all of the Crime Syndicate, because that would be awesome. I'm totally for that. I have to say a couple things about the figure itself, though. I think this upper torso onto this like abdomen area here, I think it's a little wonky. The torso kind of hangs over the edge a lot. I know that probably gives him great articulation and a great range of movement for putting him in poses and stuff, but it just looks weird. It looks so like there's so much like rib cage hanging over his abs. It looks a little odd. So, and then the head doesn't look angry enough, and I would not have gone with the red eyes. I would have just gone with like an angry, scowling Superman. That's what I would have gone with. Because they are alternate reality versions of the same guy, so their faces would be pretty much the same. This guy would just look much more angry and pissed off than Superman, the real Superman would. But overall, like I'm gonna get this figure because I support this. I support getting Crime Syndicate characters, and I hope we get all of the Crime Syndicate. So, and who knows, maybe down the road I can do some kit bashing to try and fix this joint here, and we all know that there are plenty of other Superman heads that I could swap this guy for. I think the Superman that came in the 2-pack with the Devastator, the Doomsday Dark Knight Batman, I think that one had kind of an angry grimace or scowl on his face, so maybe we could do a head swap with that. But even if not, I'm going to get this guy as is because I support this. I like the fact that we're getting Ultraman, and I hope we get the whole Crime Syndicate. So then the only other things that have been announced so far for 2022 are movie figures, specifically the Batman movie, the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson Batman movie. We know what we're getting so far with that. That was announced a long time ago. We were getting, obviously, the Batman, Catwoman, Riddler, and a bike, his Bat bike. Well, now we know that we're going to be getting a Bruce Wayne, and there's two versions. There's one where he's completely unmasked. Maybe he comes with his helmet, and maybe the helmet can go on, maybe not. And then there's a version where he's got the bandana up over his nose, and mouth. I might consider this version. This looks like shit. But to be honest, I don't have too terribly much of an interest in either. I'll have to see how. It's not going to be one that I pre-order, and I'll have to just see how I feel if and when I happen upon it in a store. And the other one is Penguin, and I'm sorry for the shitty image. This is the best one I could find. The Colin Farrell Penguin. Definitely going to be getting this guy. I want to support this movie, and guys, DC's really hurting. Like, they tried it. They tried their damnedest to not show it, but DC is hurting, especially comics. DC Comics is really hurting, and you can look it up. The statistics are clear. DC is hurting, and the reason it's undeniable that the reason Marvel is just kicking their ass and eating their lunch is because Marvel has a highly successful film and now with Disney Plus TV franchise that it can fall back on. If the comics underperform, great. Those movies made billions of dollars. If the video games underperform, if they release a video game and it happens to underperform, great. Those movies made billions of dollars. It's like they have so much freedom to just fuck around, and they don't have to worry if some of these smaller things like a comic or a video game, the newest Marvel mobile game didn't work out. Great, who gives a shit? Because our movies are making us billions of dollars. So they have all this freedom and this wiggle room to fuck around without having to worry about failure. DC does not have that, because DC does not have a successful film franchise. In this day and age, a big successful live action franchise, whether it's TV, movies, or a combination, that's key. That's key, and it's necessary for shit like this, and DC just doesn't have it. Now, this Batman movie is not part of a larger franchise, but it's still a live action movie, and I want to support it as much as possible. And plus, it just genuinely looks good, and I've always said on this channel, if you like something, by all means, spend your money on it. But don't commit to a brand just because of the brand logo or the brand name. Don't commit to just loving DC. Don't commit to just loving everything DC just because it has the DC logo on it. Take it on a case by case basis. If DC puts out a shit movie, boom, feel free to just be like, that was a shit movie. I don't want to buy any of the merchandise. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to get it on Blu-ray or DVD. I don't want to rent it on Amazon Prime Video. I don't want, fuck that piece of shit. It's totally fair and okay to be that way. But since the Batman movie, the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson Batman movie, looks really good, and it's the closest thing DC's got on its horizon to a successful film franchise, I'm going to support it. So this Penguin will be going on the shelf with the other live-action Batman figures, and I cannot wait to buy him. So, yeah, that's pretty much the end of the slideshow. Let me know what you guys think. Did I forget any figures? I know I forgot the Winter's Night, or whatever the fuck it's called. Let's see here. The Winter's Night figures, where you've got the evil, Frost Giant dude, or the fucking, you got Winter's Night, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. I think in that line, we're also going to be getting a Black Adam. Kind of excited about the Black Adam. I know it's ironic. I just did a DC video. I'm wearing a Marvel shirt. Whatever. The Black Adam, I'm pretty excited for. I think the face is a little wonky, but I am excited for it. The reason I didn't cover the Winter's Night, or the Evil Night of Winter, whatever the fuck that is because fuck that entire wave of figures. Pretty much fuck that. We could have gotten a Black Adam just to get a Black Adam. We didn't need this wave based on this comic book story to get a Black Adam, and everything else in that way. Oh, that story's specific version of Wonder Woman in her specific costume for that story. Who gives a shit? We don't even have a normal Wonder Woman yet, so who gives a shit? Ice Arctic suit Batman. It's kind of like the same thing as the hazmat suit Batman, McFarlane Toys. We don't give a fuck. We don't care. I have no interest in buying. None of them. None of the Winter's Night. None of them. Don't give a shit. So, yeah, take that for what you will. If I forgot anything else, please leave some comments down below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. If you want to help out the channel even more, please check out some of my other videos. Maybe subscribe. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time.